Man, I tell you, these videos I've done on this balding Bible study thing, it's really generated some fresh ideas, and I think it's exciting. So it's cool to see what's coming out of this. Every time I make a new video, I never know what's going to spawn from that. But on the video I made called Bible Study on Balding, Proof Men Were Bald Nearly 3,000 Years Ago, plus Jesus was a Norwood 2.5 question mark. One of the comments I received from Darren Connolly, and on the second Bible study on hair loss, I talk more about it, but I just want to take one little snippet from it, where he said, quote, "Do you mean baldness is not a sign of imperfection?" End quote. So I just want to address that. And it's in that simple comment, do you mean that baldness is not a sign of imperfection? And that's exactly what I'm telling you. Baldness is not a sign of imperfection. Let me say it again. Baldness is not a sign of imperfection, unless you believe it is. Baldness is not a sign of imperfection, unless you believe it is. That's how it actually works. And with 2,300 subscribers, most of whom see balding as a sign of imperfection. I was talking to my wife about this last night, and we were talking about Jesus being perfect, and I was explaining to her how I was going to make the follow-up to the Bible study on baldness video. And my wife totally understood. She's like, yeah, well, Jesus was perfect. That meant he didn't sin. He didn't have the sin nature, but he was still a man. He still physically changed as he got older. So, and then she instantly agreed. And I said, yeah, and that's not to say that that's implying that if you're bald, that's somehow less than perfect. But see, it's a perception. So many people, and I would speculate most of my subscribers, believe that balding is a sign of imperfection. So as long as you believe that, I could see how that would make you think that, oh, well, Jesus couldn't be perfect if he had less than perfect hair, which is now just kind of getting crazy. Like rock star Jesus, he's got like six pack, all the abs. He's like 6'5", like playing volleyball. Like it's just funny to think about. So yes, to be balding is not a sign of imperfection, but a lot of people believe it is, so therefore it is. You know, what we have to consider is a global scale, a global view, a global perspective of what beauty even means. Wherever you go, it can be a different thing altogether. And even within our own American society, plenty of people think that bald men with beards look good, or just bald men that are mostly shaven, like Vin Diesel. It's all a matter of perception. But to say that balding is a sign of imperfection, no, that's your perspective. As long as you believe that, it's definitely true. Now, I used to believe that, and I think as long as we drag around keeping our mindset in Hollywood and thinking that we need to look like these guys who have Norwood 2s or better, as long as we believe that, what the media is feeding us, just like it's feeding to women that they have to be a size 2 or less or whatever, as long as they continue to believe that and buy into that, it's true. As long as it continues to sell magazines and causes people to go out to movies with people who look certain ways, yeah, it's definitely true. But see, what's happening is the media is not creating that. The free market, who are the consumers, are creating that, and they're reinforcing that, yes, who we want to see on TV, we want to see men with perfect heads of hair with girls who are size 2 or smaller. That's what we want to see. That's what we'll pay you to present us with. So as long as that continues to be the case, we're going to continue to see that. Now, we are seeing some changes, and obviously I love to mention the Fast and Furious movies, because it seems like most of the cast in those movies, other than Paul Walker, are shaving their head because they don't have hair on top. And I think that's one of the first signs of the modern age, this decade that we're in, where it's definitely becoming acceptable. And not only acceptable, but not even a sign of beauty or not. Because again, men are judged less on their physical traits anyway, and more on, really, I'd say, psychologically. Masculinity has more to do with how you act and how you lead and how you treat other people, and how you are perceived as being strong, even if you're not the strongest person in the group. That's what masculinity is. What I would say is, going back to this, do you mean that baldness is a sign of imperfection? I'd say it's irrelevant when it comes to being perfect or not. So it's not that you are or not perfect because of your hair. It's that it's the wrong question. It's irrelevant. And that's an ongoing theme on my channel. I talk about what actually makes you attractive as a man, not only to females, but also to men. And I don't mean that in a homosexual way. I mean that as far as being respected, by your peers as another man. So for me, hands down, 100%, baldness is not a sign of imperfection. It's completely just irrelevant. And the people who continue to believe that baldness is a sign of imperfection continue to live in that hell, in that version of reality where they are limited because of that. But just like in the song Master of Puppets, or actually just the opposite of this, in the song Master of the Puppets, the person who is the slave could have chosen to break free, but they didn't. By the end of the song, they're begging for mercy, yet they don't run away. I'm the opposite of that. I saw that I was a slave to my hair at some point in my life and realized I don't want to be a slave anymore. I don't want to live under this belief that if I'm losing my hair, I'm less of a person, I'm less attractive, I'm less valuable. And I chose to stop believing that way. So it is a choice, but no. Baldness is not a sign of imperfection unless you believe it is. And that's part of why this channel still exists, honestly. Because people continue to believe that hair loss makes them less of a person. It makes them less than perfect. And they continue coming back here to have me remind them that it has nothing to do with you being perfect or not. And it has nothing to do with you being less of a man. In fact, it's almost an advantage. I really do feel that, especially right now, if we'll stop trying to look like Hollywood and instead try to look like the men that we naturally are, and we act like masculine men, nothing's more attractive than that. Nothing's closer to perfect than that.